Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Astral Jewels platform. Today, I'm going to get a little bit more in depth about astrology and tell you things that you may not be aware of. And this is really important. It's particularly in relationship to you learning to know thyself. Know thyself is a term that came from Socrates, and it's massively important for your life's journey to learn about who you are. And, most people walk around not even thinking about who they are. It's what they do, and there's this survival thing that happens in life, and you're hell bent on making sure that your life is, not full of friction and frustration. So I want to address something. There are so many people currently walking around with the wrong star sign. A lot of people get into astrology at a young age. It's a novel thing to do. It's in magazines and newspapers and all that sort of thing. You want to know what are the stars doing today and how are they going to affect me? What's going to happen? What's going to happen this week? What's going to happen this month, this year? All of that sort of thing. Now, the problem with this is that mainstream astrology, that which you see in magazines and newspapers, and actually what is more commonly used by mainstream astrologers, is the tropical system. And you may not know that there are there's more than one system in astrology. There's actually several. Now, I used to use tropical, and this is before I actually learned about astrology. So I was like everyone else, and I got the newspaper and magazines, and I was reading all about myself. And I went on a holiday to my aunt many moons ago now, and she had this massive book on star signs. And I thought, okay, I'm going to study about my sign, which at the time I thought was Gemini. And so I actually typed out, there were many pages on the topic of Gemini, and I'm typing away and learning more about what a Gemini trait is. And I became more disheartened because I was not fitting the mold of what the book was telling me. I just didn't have the same traits. I had some, but overall, no, it wasn't a fit. And then I went and got my astrology done professionally, not realizing that the astrologer that I went to used a different system, and that system is sidereal. And it's interesting that that word actually has the word real in it, R-E-A-L. So look up sidereal. It's actually in line with the sky. Sidereal is like to the sky what geography is to the earth. And so it's a visual. It's actually what is the position of the stars and planets in the sky. And the sidereal model is what my astrologer used. His name was Simon. And I was just floored because I found out I wasn't actually a Gemini. I was the previous sign, which is Taurus. But not only that, I learned, what astrology really is all about. So it's not about, it's not just about your your sun sign, it's a big pie. It's a huge pie made up of all the constellations and the planets and the positions, and that's determined by, the blueprint that is your chart is determined by the time you were born, the place, and the date. So those three elements are very important in doing a reading on a person. And at your time of birth, the position of the planets was a certain way, and that creates a blueprint that influences your life for all of your life, all of your life. Now, there's a 23.4 degree difference between the two systems. Now, that's major. That's a major, major difference. And considering there's 30 degrees allotted to each constellation, when you see that there's 23.4 degree difference, that's why I say most people, many people, are walking around with the wrong star sign, just like I was. So, people are malleable. We like to believe and align to certain things. And many people align to things that are false, that don't have 100% accuracy, and often people don't delve into who they really are anyway, and they keep it at this novel level, and they don't get into a depth of self-knowledge. Know thyself is massive. It's a massive pursuit in anyone's life. And it's the very thing that can bring you peace. Knowing with clarity what makes you tick. Why do things happen the way that they do? That's a big asset for you to take with you through life. Knowing what you have available to you, what happens and why it happens. All of these things are actually determined by the influence of planetary forces. They don't happen just for no reason. The influence of planets and stars, they are a force. They're forcing you to do certain things. That's what forces do. They put things into action, and you're no different. You are influenced dramatically by the stars and the planets. So knowing the correct information is very, very important. Now, interestingly, I only found this out, it was only last year, because I'd never bothered to do any calculations on this particular issue. So there's 23.4 degrees difference between the real astrology, sidereal, in line with the sky, and the tropical system, right? Now, in astrology, there's a particular angle, which is the square. And the square is, to everyone, a challenge in a person's life. It's a dominant force that can be a difficulty. Challenge is something that you have to get over and learn how to do things so that those difficulties become more at ease. You can get a flow happening. There's a lot of learning that's involved with challenges in your life. You know that just by default. So this 90-degree angle, if you take 23.4 degrees away from 90, so 23.4 away from 90, it is 66.6. Coincidence? I don't think so. The more I do people's charts, the more I think about the reality of how people put their minds into constellations, how people define themselves by one thing, and that one thing has become a dominant, if not novel, element in a person's life. They've aligned to a certain, I'm a Scorpio and I am this, I'm a Virgo and I'm this, or I'm a Libra and I'm this. It's taking away from real truth. And the more I do people's charts, the more I ponder this, and the more that I know about myself, and the more that I know about the deception that we have been subject to in this life, the more I believe that this change, if you like, in the astrological positions became a Luciferic agenda. This is what I am seeing. What would be the thing that authoritarians want? That is for you not to be empowered, not to know who you are. So they've thrown us off the scent. They've thrown us off the scent. Now, sidereal takes into account the precession of the equinoxes. The Earth is on a wobble. Now, we know that. And that has meant that the position of the Earth to the constellations has actually shifted. And that's a visual. You can actually stand on the Earth where you are and you can see where Jupiter is and where Mars is and where Venus is, and also, the moon. And I've proved this during lunar eclipses, when you have a full moon and the sun starts blocking it. You see when there's an eclipse that it goes into shadow, and when it goes into almost full shadow, you can see the constellation that the moon is in. Right? It's very difficult to see it when there is a full moon. There's too much light pollution and stargazing. It's really difficult. It's a problem. But when the moon goes into shadow, you can definitely see what constellation the moon is in. Now, that's happened on several occasions, of course. Lunar eclipses are quite common. Many people don't look up. They believe what they're told in the newspapers or magazines, etc., or even by other astrologers. But they don't look up. They don't look into the sky to see for themselves where these, what the constellations look like and where are the planets. They don't even look for them. So how would you know? So, you're actually believing what somebody else is telling you. So sidereal is a visual. You can actually visually see by stargazing where the position of planets are in the night sky. And there is definitely a difference, a major difference. And I've done a myriad of charts on people, and I use the sidereal model. And I have found that when this adjustment is made, the 23.4 degrees, after the client has, lifted their jaw up from the ground, from the floor, and then learned about who they are in terms of their new constellation, it makes so much more sense. It makes so much more sense. This happened to me personally, and I myself, I have the Sun and Venus in Taurus, and this aligned very well to my love of earthy things, my value system, wanting a home, and my values in terms of work, very much aligned to the sun in Taurus. But I have got Mercury in Gemini, which made the Gemini very strong. And I could align very much with the Gemini trait, but that there were missing elements. So my sun is not in Gemini, it's definitely in Taurus. And then when I saw the whole piece of the pie, I was finding out all of these personality traits that I had, all of these opportunities that were latent in me just come out of the pages when I really knew about astrology, and I learned astrology. And I've used my chart, I've used this knowledge to know what I have available in terms of forces. I know how the forces operate for me. I don't exactly know how it's going to play out. You know, somebody, you see in the newspapers, right, that they say, oh, you're likely to get a new job this week, or a pay rise, or you're going to enter a new relationship. Now, those horoscopes, I call them horror because I think they're horrible, are so generalized, so very generalized that they're laughable. That's not how predictions actually work. And it is aligned to your natal chart. Predictions of what's going to happen to you is aligned to your full natal blueprint. And in those newspapers, there's just this tiny little snippet of information. And the possibilities are so broad, so very unlikely that it's ridiculous. So I stopped, I don't do the horoscopes. And, for a time when I was still reading them, or, in magazines, I was curious to see what it had to say, but I didn't read the tropical sign. I went into the previous one. So remember, I was a Gemini. So instead of reading the Gemini, I read the Taurian, the Taurus interpretation. But even then, it just wasn't. It wasn't doing anything. It was just novelty. That's really all it is. But the real predictions, you need the full chart to get that. And even then, it's possibility. It's time windows is what you look at. Time windows. You have opportunities, and you can go with the flow of those opportunities. You can go against them, and difficulties are likely to happen. There are some forces that are definitely going to make a big difference in your life. Things like, maybe Chiron's position, because it's about the wound. I've had experiences where Chiron has hit my ascendant, and whammo, it's been spot on, and it's brought up issues from the past, traumas, whatever. But I take them as opportunities now, whereas before it was, oh my God, the world is ending. It's really horrible emotionally. Now I take them as opportunities. I've just recently had an experience where really sudden changes occurred, and that's the Uranus at play. And instead of being overly annoyed or shocked by this change, I've gone with it. And this is what you want to learn about forces, is to understand what the forces will do to you, how they're influencing your life. And instead of reacting to them, look at them as opportunities. And this is what I certainly do. It doesn't mean that, when the shit hits the fan, doesn't mean that it's going to be all smooth sailing. Doesn't mean it's not going to hurt a little bit. That's part of the human journey, that things will hurt you. That's emotions and feelings. That's a normal part of the human experience. And we move on. We do move on. And to know that the forces are that thing that's creating these events and changes, to me gives me a level of peace of mind, because I have the reason. I know the reason why things are happening. And, you know, I've been doing astrology for 25 odd years now, professionally. So, you know, I should know about what's going on. But I've used them to see my potential, to bring out and understand my personality traits, what I am capable of, what's available to me. And that's enormous. I remember when I was first presented with all these amazing, positive personality traits, and you know, I was quite young at the time and really quite naive, but definitely on a search to find who I am and where do I fit in the world and where am I heading? What am I supposed to be doing? You know, my destiny, all that sort of stuff. And when I saw all of these amazing traits and got, is that me? I really, you know, I was gobsmacked that there were so many positives in my chart that I was not able to use. I wasn't aware of them. And I wasn't in an environment at that time that encouraged that, to bring those traits out in me. But once I saw them and saw that's potential, I gave them a lot more attention and said, well, you know, there is a possibility. And with the great awakening that's occurring, this is something that you should be looking at as well. You know, how can I be the best version of myself? You know, we know that saying and where it comes from. But there's some truth in that. You know, how can I have the best life I can possibly have? How can I navigate my life so I'm actually pleased with what I do? And, you know, joy and happiness is actually a choice that you make. It's not something that's given to you. It's a state of being. And the more you walk into the real you and be authentic with who you are, the easier it is for you to be happy. Just be happy, and to find that joy within yourself, because that's where we're going. It's all an inside job. All the good stuff does not happen externally. You know, buying material things, you know, that new dress or a new piece of jewelry or going on that lovely holiday, it's only temporary. And you might get some pleasure for a short period of time, and then you will default back to yourself. Because ultimately we need to learn how to be with ourselves and sit with ourselves and like ourselves and eventually love ourselves. That's what we need to do. And when you're in that space of liking yourself and loving yourself and valuing yourself, that's when the magic happens. And I used my knowledge of astrology and delving into my potential and understanding the forces, or comprehending the forces that are at play in my life. And I've achieved so much as a result, and I'm more and more in myself than ever before. And that's a blessing. It's a grace that I pursued astrology. It's a grace that I found the astrologer that I did. And, you know, I'm on a mission from God. And that is to get you to look at yourself so you can see what amazing potential you really do have, you know, and get over the blocks, get over the challenges as a negative thing and see them as a positive thing, because all of your experience is made up who you are now, right? And for many, it's been a very, very difficult journey, and I get that. I really get that. I'm with you on that. My life has not been an easy one. There's been a lot of challenges in my life, and the more mature I become, the wiser I become to life. That is what's meant to happen. And I have more states of happiness than I've ever had in my life. And definitely realizing that it's not something external, it's an internal job. So that mission of God I take very seriously. Used to be a saying my teacher said to me, Jules, we're on a mission from God. We're going to do this, you know, and that. And, you know, I find it a privilege to show a person their potential and get them on the right track and see that they have life-changing experiences. So they move forward with a lot more hope and confidence. It's a wonderful thing. You know, we've all had difficulties. It's normal to have difficulties, their challenges, their life's experiences. The problem is if we never get through them and we never, you know, have those major accomplishments that give you that satisfaction of your human experience. You know, there's a lot of good stuff. There's a lot of good stuff out there. There's a lot of good stuff. You just have to find it, and you have to know how to find it. So I invite you to have a look at, go to my website, so www.astraljules.com, and there you will find a page on what your star sign is under the sidereal model. Okay, so that'll be a lot of you out there. That'll be a lot of you. And so, you know, we're in new beginnings. We're in the Great Awakening. And so let's have an awakening and let's really get on this journey of finding our true selves. Okay. And, you know, while you're in there, please subscribe to my website and you'll be notified of any blogs that occur. You will see all the services that I have to offer, which of course does include astrology, both natal and predictions. Natal is the bomb. It is the thing that you want to get above anything in terms of astrology readings. As I said, knowing yourself is the thing. It's the thing right now. The Great Awakening, ascension into the fourth, then fifth dimension it's a requirement that you know who you are. You will need to know, warts and all, who you are. And in the process of that, if you have blocks, traumas that you haven't dealt with, you're having difficulties with many things, from relationships to, you know, just your general happiness, getting over depression or anxiety, things like that, then I have healing modalities that I use, regression, inner space regression techniques that I use. And I also do work with angelic connections, off-worlders, if you like, which I have been working with for 24 years now. And you know, one of the most dynamic and wonderful things that your guides want for you is to know that they are there, and for you to be aware that they are there. You're not alone, and they see you. And this is also one of the services that I can provide. Now, I can't guarantee, it depends on where you're at. Like if you're really stuck and stubborn and you refuse to open that big block that you've got a big wall up, then it might take a little time to get you to be aware of your guides, to be aware of the off-worlders that are there for you. But they are there. And very often in sessions that I do, they're always present. They are always present. As soon as they know that, Matthew Smith is turning up for a session with me, they know, and they become part of the process. And often I am directed to say certain things or to try and enable you to see them. If they've got messages for you, of course, I'm going to pass that on to you. But more so, I am going to attempt to get you to be able to see for yourself. Seeing for yourself, knowing for yourself is very powerful. Believing somebody else and their words is not good enough. It really is not good enough. That got us into the problems that we are in now. Believing somebody else's words is just not enough. It's really disempowering. It means you're in beliefs. You're not having experiences. And this phase of ascension, we need to start having the experiences. Really, really, really important. And that's part of the work that I do. So have a look at my services on my website. As I said, new beginnings. So maybe that's you, having a new beginning and needing a new beginning and a new direction, moving forward in a way that is really, really serving you. Okay. So be aware, you may not be the star sign that you think you are. And there's more to you than you know. And there's more you need to know about yourself. And I will help you with that. Okay. So until next time, guys, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to Rumble, care and share. Put your comments below. I always read my comments. And also, if you have topics that you would like me to cover, maybe you're having a particular difficulty, maybe with self-judgment or, unearned guilt and, all the spectrum of emotions. Been there, done that. I've run the gauntlet, let me tell you. So if you've got something that you would like me to particularly cover, please put it in the comments or send me an email via my website, and I will, of course, get it, and I'll add it to the list of topics that I will talk about. I have done 21 podcasts in what's called the Inner Work series, from very basic emotions and feelings to relationships, inner child work, empowerment, your power, lack of power, all sorts of topics, and they are available to you free. And on your journey to awakening, I really do advise that, you go through those podcasts, even if you have been on a transformation journey, a revealing of yourself journey. These podcasts can be like a tick sheet where you say, yep, got that, yep, I get it. And knowing that you're not alone in your journey, is really, really important, right? You're not alone. And seeing that other people have these same issues can be quite comforting. And then getting clarity on some of the most simple levels of emotions and feelings can really catapult you forward just by the mere fact that you've got clarity on something. That is really helpful. So by all means, go through those podcasts. They are free, and hopefully they will help you on your journey of self-discovery. Okay, guys. Thank you for listening. And until we meet again, bye for now. Bye.